There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Welcome to another in our series, I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen That 3, the ReBelievening. This week we check out a movie that Mike has never... Ow! Damn it, I just broke my leg! How did that happen? Well, I'll just bind it up with my blue chambray shirt here. Man, I picked the wrong week to try to cure my crippling alcoholism. Wait, how did that creepy born-again Christian guy get in here, and why is he throwing holy water on Mike? I bet he's being evil just for the being evil. Ah! A ghost! What do you want, oh spirit? No, I don't see anything green. No, I don't want a Red Sox hat. I just created one out of thin air. I must have poorly explained psychic powers. Or maybe I'm going slowly insane. I'll have to make my stand right here. Or should I go to Castle Rock, Maine? Ow, dang it, I broke my other leg somehow. Get this dog off me. Well, I just filled out most of the Stephen King bingo card, so yay me.
Finally figured out what the hell you were doing.
Yep. These are all things that show up in lots and lots of Stephen King.
You forgot the 50s.
We are actually discussing the very first Stephen King film adaptation,
Ooh.
Brian De Palma's Carrie, starring that coal miner's daughter, Sissy Spacek. I'm your host, Max. They're all going to snore at you, Levine. And over there, staring creepily out of a storm drain, is Mikey Wise, the dancing clown loose. Tell us how much you all float down there, Mikey Wise.
Creepy, 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 creepy.
You know, still scarier than Tim Curry was. But before we get to the thrills and the chills, we've got our poll question.
Poll question.
We asked you, what is one of your favorite movies and why? Brian Mundo shocked us all by saying The Fifth Element. No.
What?
It's such a weirdly beautiful movie with a bunch of action and is just all around fun. Byron Ho says Disney's Robin Hood.
Oh.
I love the old school Disney animation and it's a fun take on the Robin Hood story. Also because I'm a furry.
Well, there you go.
I think that movie created most of the furries.
It was actually one of the biggest influences was Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny makes me feel funny.
Well, he's supposed... Oh, not that way. It really makes you feel funny in your Looney Tunes, does it?
Yeah.
Angelo Patsalis says, Spaceballs makes me laugh all the time.
Really?
Nice.
I'm glad
all
you
right,
enjoyed
sure,
that.
Why not? Yeah. Regan McStravick says, so many to choose from. Yeah, that is absolutely true. But I usually fall back on either The Professional or Apocalypse Now.
Oh.
Probably because they're both such laid-back, easy films to watch. Yeah, that's it, Regan. Those are just chill, feel-good movies.
You get a better shot with The Professional than you do Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Well, there's a comparison. For a good time, if you're feeling depressed, don't go to Apocalypse Now. Stay with The Professional.
Yeah.
It's got kids in it.
It do. Keith Wright suggests there's a movie starring Reese Witherspoon, Brooke Shields, and Kiefer Sutherland, really called Freeway, which is based on Little Red Riding... Okay, you're making this up!
I bet he isn't.
It's over-the-top, violent, funny, and sometimes heartwarming. It's one of my favorite performances by Reese Witherspoon.
Huh.
Doesn't she play a 14-year-old girl in that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Heard of it because I read the comment from Keith. But
Then how would you know she plays a 14-year-old girl?
That's intriguing. Because it's in the summary.
Oh, you cheated and looked.
Yeah, I looked on Wikipedia. Roland, the headless Thompson Gunner Hardy, says, 3 Days of the Condor.
Ooh.
Makes my point for me. Who couldn't love Redford and Faye Dunaway? Action, intelligence, smart, twisted government. Oh yeah, Bullet and the Thomas Crown Affair, all Steve McQueen again, and Faye Dunaway with a great script.
We didn't do 3 Days of the Condor, or did we? We did.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yep.
That's one where he
our main
kidnaps
thing
her.
was, there is no way that any of those guys are as good looking as Robert Redford.
Is that the one where he's like the junior member of the CIA or FBI or something, and he goes out for donuts?
He's a professional book reader.
Okay, that's right. Okay,
he reads
I do
books
remember
and
that
looks for
film.
stuff in it. Yeah. Yep.
Goes out for donuts. Hey, cops, don't give us donuts. Don't give us donuts. Don't give us tickets.
Yeah, we'll send you donuts. We'll mail them to you. And from the frozen north.
Ooh, it's cold.
And he very kindly has not put any tariffs on this comment.
Ooh.
Vince, well, we also are doing reciprocal comments in that we will charge Canada exactly as much as they charge us for this podcast.
In bumpy bucks.
In bumpy bucks.
The cryptocurrency with a fresh taste of pizza.
In Canada, they're toonie bumpy bucks.
Ooh.
I could say Aguirre Wrath of God. Of course, it's Herzog! But I absolutely love King Vidor's silent film, The Crowd.
Oh.
Ooh, I don't know this.
Me either.
The cinematography is amazing, and it's a story that is small in some ways and universal in others. I'm not sure the ending is entirely positive, but it makes you think. A young man from childhood onwards wants to stand out from the crowd, but the crowd is always there pressing against him. He learns some very hard lessons, and the last shot, I think, teaches the viewer a lesson. This is intriguing.
Especially for a silent film.
The Crowd.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember, we put
Thanks,
the Hertz in Herzog.
Well, now you're fired.
Well, whatever.
And back from our brief time apart.
Oh, dear. I know what this means. Is that light going off again? Didn't we disconnect that thing?
An adorable little ball of fluff, Doris Hempelmeyer.
Hi, Max Mike Movies. It's Doris Hempelmeyer. Remember me? I was been gone for a couple weeks. Sorry, I was elsewhere. Hi, Max. You know where I was. Anyway, you wanted to know the answer to what one of my favorite movies was and why. I'm going to go with Strictly Ballroom. It's a perfect movie if you think about it. I mean, think about it. It's got really nice people that go through a journey and they come out changed at the end. It's got dancing. It makes you feel good. It's just the perfect movie. So if you haven't seen it, but I know you have because you reviewed it, but if you haven't out there, go watch it because it's really good. All right? I'll see you next week. Well, I'll see Max next week. I'll listen to you next week. Bye.
Oh, yeah. I know where you were, Doris.
Oh, dear.
I know right where you were.
You two get your own
Strictly
podcast.
Ballroom. Oh, man, they would never let us broadcast it. Strictly Ballroom is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
See our entire episode on Strictly Ballroom.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a really fun, feel-good movie.
What about you, Mike? What is your favorite movie?
Well, not there is no the favorite movie because that's why I said pick a favorite because it depends on your mood, right? There's films I like better when I'm in one mood than I'm in another.
Absolutely.
Probably my top film of all time, and it's really nostalgic based, is What's Up, Doc. I adore What's Up, Doc. It was the first film. It's not the first film I saw in the theater. It is the first film I saw more than once in the theater. Because I definitely remember seeing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in the theater, which came out before. This is 1972. I was 7. I saw the film 5 times in the theater.
Good heavens.
I just loved What's Up, Doc. I don't know why. And I will say, I think it is not a film for modern times. I don't think younger people would find it funny. I think it's a great, for the time, modern take on the screwball comedy. I think Bogdanovich did a great job. I like Barbra Streisand. I like Ryan O'Neal. I don't have any bad memories associated with that film, and I've watched it I don't know how many times. And every once in a while, I find something else that I hadn't noticed before, even if it's just somebody tripping in the background that I didn't realize was there, and it's still funny. If I'm going to the other side of emotion, I'd probably say one of my top films is Blade Runner. The correct cut has to be the 92, not really director's cut. But I just love the film for so many reasons, not least of which is it treats its audience respectfully. Like, hey, you guys, you can figure this out. You don't need Harrison Ford to come on and tell you in a dead voice what's going on in this movie. Yep. So, I'm going to go with those two as mine. But what about you, Matt?
Again, I don't believe in a favorite movie.
That's why I said
really does.
a
Do you have a
favorite
comedy. Your favorite comedy, your favorite overall. For overall, I would have to say Casablanca.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's a movie I just don't get tired of.
Me either.
It has everything. It has great performances. It has drama. It has comedy. It even has music.
Yeah,
romance, action. It literally is the total package, and it's so well done.
I might even say that I don't know a better written produced film with like, there's just
I would have
75 years, whatever
I would
it is.
have real trouble finding one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's even worth seeing in a theater again. There is something magical
It
about
really
seeing that
is.
film in a theater. So that's a
Where
top
it just
one
fills
too.
the world.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
such a good
But
film.
for comedies, I would go, Blazing Saddles. That just cracks me up every time. And Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Yes, Blazing Saddles. That was the one scene. Mike started watching that with me. I showed it to him for the first time. And for the first, I think it's 10 or 15 minutes, he didn't even crack a smile. He just sat there looking at it. Then we got to the campfire scene where they're eating beans and all farting, and he fell off the chair. I thought he was actually turned bright red, couldn't breathe. He was laughing so hard.
Well, and here's the funny
And
part.
that's the day I learned something very important about Mike.
I like fart jokes. I can't help it. It's dumb. Whatever. I got to say, I had seen that scene before and didn't laugh. Do you know why?
Huh.
Because I watched it on TV.
Oh, no.
And they took the sound out.
Oh,
So,
that really doesn't work.
It's just these guys sitting around a campfire and nothing's happening.
Oh, God, that makes it so boring.
Until suddenly
Wow.
somebody says, "No more beans for you," or whatever the line is.
There you are.
And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, whatever. But they it's like when they change the dialogue, "You crumb buns," or "You Monday through Friday snakes on this
Right.
Monday through Friday plane."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. Yes.
I actually kind of like that rewritten dialogue because it's usually so incredibly stupid. All it does is make you go,
Yeah.
baby. So, but we also really appreciate your answers. We love hearing about
Yes,
what
we
films
do.
you love.
We'd like another one.
Yeah.
Inspired by this week's film, what, if any, is your favorite Stephen King adaptation and why?
Ooh.
Movies, TV, whatever.
Breakfast cereals.
And at the end of the episode, we will release the terrifying secret of how to answer that question.
Oh, yeah, terrifying
if you
secret.
can handle it.
They've handled it 321 times before this. 331 times before this.
Yes. And look what it's done to you.
Yeah, it's gotten us answers for our show. Ooh.
Exactly. But now, things about Carrie.
The facts.
Budget? $1.8 million.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, this is a 1976 film. That's still chump change. Box office? $33 million.
Oh, so it's a failure.
It made back like 15 times its budget.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was big at the time.
It was very big at the time and got copied all over the place. As I said, this is the very first Stephen King novel that was ever adapted into a film. Both Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie got Oscar nominations for this film.
Interesting.
Neither won, but I blame that on the bias against genre fiction. We'll get to that later.
I usually blame it on the bossa nova myself, but yeah,
I blame it on the rain, like Milli Vanilli told me to.
twice.
Yep. When Sissy Spacek was preparing for her character, she isolated herself from the rest of the ensemble, decorated her dressing room with heavily religious iconography, and studied Gustave Doré's illustrated Bible.
Ugh.
She studied the body language of people being stoned for their sins and starts or ends every scene in one of those positions.
Okay.
Nancy Allen, who plays Chrissy, sort of the major villain, claims she never realized her character was going to be so evil until she saw the finished film. She thought she and John Travolta were playing such self-centered, bickering morons that they were there for comic relief.
I mean, in a way, she's not wrong, but we'll get back to that.
According to Piper Laurie, she honestly thought her character was too over-the-top fanatical to be taken seriously. Brian De Palma had to take her aside and personally tell her it's a horror movie, not a black comedy. Even so, she would constantly bust out laughing between takes. Because not only was her characterization and wardrobe laughable in her eyes, but the dialogue itself was humorous for her. To this day, she still refers to and maintains the movie as a black comedy.
Huh. Well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah, in the very last scene, Amy Irving, who is performing with her real-life mother, Priscilla Pointer.
Oh.
Sue Snell and Mrs. Snell are actually mother and daughter.
Huh.
Her outburst was so vivid, it terrified her mother so much, that she screamed out Amy instead of Sue. She'd never seen her daughter that hysterical and called out the real name in panic. The loud ending music covered the mistake, but if you watch her lips, she's saying Amy.
Oops.
Whoopsie. While speaking at a book event in Fort Myers, Florida in 2010, Stephen King recalled that he was paid just $2,500 for the movie rights to Carrie, which may seem like a pittance, but he has no regrets. He says, I was fortunate to have that happen to my first book.
Oh, I didn't realize
it was also his first novel.
I did not know that. Oh.
Well, it's his first adaptation. Yeah, I'm not sure if he means his first book or his first adaptation. Now, I didn't catch this about the high school, but I did see the other references. The name of the high school is Bates High.
Oops.
Which is a reference to Norman Bates from Psycho.
Well, that's not the only one.
They use the four-note violin theme from Psycho several times in the movie, and the pig farm where John Travolta and Nancy Allen go is Bates Packing.
Okay.
While filming the bloody prom sequence, Sissy Spacek's trailer was parked behind the set. After being covered in fake blood for continuity purposes, Spacek refused to wash the effect off. She elected to sleep in her bloody clothes for 3 days of filming.
Okay.
She's dedicated.
Something's wrong on Saturn III.
The dizzying camera shot during the prom scene was achieved by putting William Katt and Sissy Spacek on a platform that was spinning in one direction while the camera was being dollied in the opposite direction.
I wondered, I thought they were going to fly off screen
during that sequence. Yeah. The ending of the movie, by the way, is very different than the ending of the novel, but King said he liked the ending of the movie better than the ending of his book.
Really?
We'll get to that later.
Huh.
Yep. Although there have been 3 versions of Carrie and a sequel at this point.
Carrie's?
The 1970s... Carrie 2, the recarrying. Carrie 2, Cash and Carrie. The 1976 version is the only version Stephen King likes. In fact, they were planning to remake this version in 2013. He openly asked, why? The original's so good. He likes this better than his book, too.
Huh.
Betty Buckley, who plays Miss Collins, the coach, was 28 at the time of the filming, only 2 years older than Sissy Spacek and 3 years older than Nancy Allen and PJ Soles, who play her students.
Huh. Well,
Sissy Spacek asked Brian De Palma how he wanted her to react when Carrie first realizes that she's bleeding in the showers, and De Palma told her, it's like you've been hit by a Mack truck. Spacek talked to her husband, Jack Fisk, who as a child had been run over by a car when he was standing in the street looking at Christmas lights, and used his description of the experience as a basis for the scene.
Okay.
In Carrie's house, in her little punishment closet, that is not a representation of Jesus, the little statue with the glowing eyes. That is Saint Sebastian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuck full of arrows.
Yeah, which I don't... Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Okay. Originally, De Palma wanted to use the split screen effect, which he loves, just because he dressed to kill, extensively during the prom scene, but he was disappointed with the results. He edited most of the scenes into full frame shots using only a couple of the split screen, which I think was to the best. Initially, PJ Soles was only cast for 2 weeks, but after she hits Sissy Spacek over the head with her baseball cap during the volleyball scene, Brian De Palma decided to keep her around longer.
Oh, I'm amazed he could, because we knew where she was going next.
Oh, yeah. She was late for Rock and Roll High School.
Rock and Roll High School.
Carrie is based on a composite of 2 girls Stephen King observed while attending grade school and high school. Of one of them, he recalled, she was a very peculiar girl who came from a very peculiar family. Her mother wasn't a religious nut like the mother in Carrie. She was a game nut. A sweepstakes nut who subscribed to magazines for people who entered contests. The girl had only 1 change of clothes for the whole school year, and the other kids made fun of her.
Aw.
Many of the girls present in the locker room were originally hesitant to appear nude in the film.
Yeah.
But then Brian De Palma showed them the nude shots of Sissy Spacek, and they became more confident.
Okay.
Basically, she's doing it. Sissy Spacek was often thought to be too pretty for the title role. The character in the book is described as chunky, mousy-haired, and covered in pimples, with Spacek being a tall, thin redhead with clear skin. The character was then rewritten slightly, saying she would be pretty if she made an effort to tidy herself up a bit and took off her glasses, because that always works in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sissy Spacek also was the homecoming queen in her school.
Oh.
Adding to the mother's delusional character is the fact that none of the Bible passages in the film are generally interpreted the way she interprets them. Like, she quotes Genesis chapter 3 to say that sexuality is evil. That's the story of Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruit. Some Bible scholars draw parallels with this in sexuality, particularly because of the passage mention of them suddenly being ashamed of their nakedness. That's not usually how it's interpreted.
I thought eating apples was just evil. Isn't that how you're supposed to interpret it?
Yes, eating apples will kill you! Also, it wasn't an apple. It said it was a fruit, and apples didn't exist back then. It was probably a pear. This was John Travolta's first major film role. He auditioned for this on a lunch break while filming Welcome Back, Kotter, and he showed up dressed as Vinnie Barbarino.
Yeah, we'll get back to him, too.
The editor of the film, Paul Hirsch's credit, appears at the same time as Nancy Allen appears in the locker room fully naked. Paul recalls his friends coming up to him and saying, "Hey, how come your name isn't on the movie?" Yeah, well, it takes a second, doesn't it?
We'll get back to that, too.
Gustave Moreau's 1851 painting, The Study of Lady Macbeth, inspired director Brian De Palma to have Sissy Spacek mimic the stance and posture of the painting for the iconic pig blood scene.
Okay.
The little twerp who yells, creepy Carrie, at Carrie when she's walking home is Cameron De Palma, the nephew of Brian De Palma. The voice, though, is Betty Buckley.
Sure.
Yeah, I know there's a ton more. Do you have anything?
No, I'd never seen that. I'm the one who hasn't seen this, so I don't really know. But why don't you pull a Stephen King and tell us a story?
Okay,
don't. No. Wait, that's
I'm going
Jack
to scare
Palance.
the hell out of you.
Where do you get Jack Palance out of Stephen King?
Because he's my number one guy. Adolescence. I do not miss you at all. You grow hair in new places, your voice changes, your skin becomes a plague zone, you develop uncontrollable psychokinetic powers. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. Shy, repressed Carrie White, raised by a, somewhat overzealously religious mom, is an outcast in high school, relentlessly bullied by the other girls, especially by Riff Randall and Officer Ann Lewis from RoboCop. Norma and Chris, excuse me. Her only ally is her gym teacher, Miss Collins, who doesn't really know how to help her except by smoking and occasionally slapping one of the bullies.
Oops.
These days, Miss Collins would be fired at relativistic speeds. In addition to the bullies, Carrie has to deal with her first period, about which she knows nothing. She doesn't even know what it was. Happening in the shower at school, and the fact that when she gets really upset, low-budget special effects start happening. Her mother asks, could it be Satan? But Carrie begins to suspect that there's a more Stephen King psychic power explanation for these phenomena. One of the girls, Sue, feels sorry for Carrie and gets her greatest American boyfriend to ask Carrie to the prom. Initially reluctant, and with good reason, Carrie agrees to go, and it's every teenager's dream prom. Oh. Decorations, dancing, her first kiss, winning prom queen, getting drenched in pig's blood, telekinetically slaughtering her classmates and teachers, and for the cherry on top, eventually being stabbed by her mom and pulling down the house on top of both of them. Just like my prom. Youth is wasted on the wrong people.
The film.
Are you going to kiss her or talk her to death? So you didn't see this when it came out, did you? Like, you weren't, because you're only a couple of years old.
No, I would have been a kid. No, I did not see it then. I saw it on videotape in the 80s, I believe.
Okay. What led you to go and seek it out?
Everyone talked about, first off, I had been impressed by Brian De Palma with The Untouchables. And people said, oh, you got to see this. It's really good. And I stayed away from it because I am not a horror movie person.
Well, that's why I asked.
Don't like them.
I know you don't. That's why I was like, why would you see Carrie? But
I also then saw Coal Miner's Daughter. I was like, my God, she's really good.
Did she win for that?
She was She did. That's the one win she had. She was nominated about 5 times, but she won for Coal Miner. So I decided I had to check this out. You have never seen this. You stayed away from it.
Yeah, I just was... I don't know, just never really interested me. I knew it was a lot about a young woman going through that time of life, and I'm like, wow, I can't think of much else I have less interest in. Just not my thing. So yeah, I have not watched it. And also, let's face it, Stephen King's track record when it comes to films, not that great.
Well,
So
he has a few really good ones and a whole lot of crap.
yeah. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, we have a similar thing to talk about, and that's the cast.
Yeah, we got Sissy Spacek, who is, I think, amazing.
I think
That's
she
a
actually
given-
might be too good for the film.
Maybe. She is certainly better than the material she's given.
Yeah.
She is terrific. And considering that she is not ugly at all or clunky, she really pulls off the girl who clearly thinks she's hideous or stupid or has a terrible self-impression.
Yeah, let's face it, though. I don't think she is classically beautiful either. She
No.
is somebody that you can make, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't put it this way. It's not the makeup. She is somebody who knows how to make herself awkward. And like you can tell there's no self-respect there. She's exceedingly, like, cripplingly shy, and it's all because of her acting. Now, apparently that she was so much of a method actor, okay, wouldn't it be simpler just to act, not sleep in your bloody clothes for 3 days? Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. But she does a fantastic job, and her and honestly Piper Laurie, I think in ways outshine a lot, if not the rest of the cast.
Oh, yeah.
But she's
Yeah,
fantastic.
no, these two are the gems of the movie. Get to Piper Laurie.
Yeah.
She is so awesome in this.
She
my
is.
God. It's like no scenery left unchewed within a 5-mile radius.
Except for her death scene. I think her death scene's a little over the top for two reasons. One of which, all I could think of was Paul Rubens in the original Buffy film.
Oh, no. I think it's terrific. I especially like the fact that when Carrie impales her with all the knives, she's doing it. It's a bloody parody of the Saint Sebastian figure.
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
a
the
little-
same number of implements. And
it's a
I
little
love
over
the
the
fact
top.
that the one that goes through her heart is a carrot peeler.
But also,
That killed me.
when she's dead, it's like, what's holding her up? She's not actually hanging. She's literally just standing there. And it's
Well,
like,
she's been pinned through her hands.
yeah, but
supposedly
her hands, she's not,
like
there's no weight,
Jeebus.
there's no tension on her arms.
No, there's nothing holding her up. And in fact, if you watch Carrie drag her body into the cupboard, you can see her feet moving. She's sort of helping, but she's bigger. She's bigger than Sissy Spacek.
Well, anything is bigger than Sissy
Yeah.
Spacek. That being said, when she's being her horrific self through most of the film, it was just the death scene. I was just like, this is a bit much, folks.
Yeah.
I think you believe everything about her, and it's like, wow, what a horrible mother. I do love that they finally reveal why she's so horrible, and it seems
Yeah.
mostly because her husband left her, which, wow, there's a surprise.
Well, I think she was horrible before that. I mean, she was like, yes, we wanted to get married, but we decided we wouldn't have sex.
Well, that's what I mean.
Oh, you're a lot of fun.
She was horrible to start, but she got worse, and that's
Yeah,
when,
no, that kind of brought, especially because she, turned out she liked it. Oh, no. Piper Laurie, from the first scene, almost from the first line, you immediately know, oh, God, I hate this person.
Well, and the other thing I had to ask is why is she dressed like a witch? I know it's supposed to be, plain and simple, but, she looks like, where's the hat? That's the only thing that's missing. So that's the only part I didn't get.
Yeah.
But Amy Irving, who's been in quite a few things.
Yep. This
She
is
plays-
Steven Spielberg.
She plays Sue. Now, Sue
Yeah.
is the one who's going out with Tommy, right?
Right.
I admit, I had trouble with her character through the film because I thought she was in on the whole gag because they're all friends. And so with her and eventually William Katt, and I was like, wait, is that William Katt, the greatest American hero? Baby, the legend of the lost story of the legend of the dinosaur baby?
It's hard to tell under all that hair.
And it's all his. That's the scary part. It's actually his hair.
This massive blonde. Oh, God. This is so 70s. We'll get to that.
I had trouble with her character and Tommy's character because I honestly thought they were part of the gang. And it's like, oh, wow, these people are the worst of the worst. She's trying to get him to, take Carrie out and make fun of her. And I didn't realize until the very last scene in the gym where she's like, what's that rope going to? Like, oh, you're not in on it. I totally thought she was. But
I
she's
didn't
fine.
think she was because she obviously doesn't like Chris. She can't stand her.
Except she's one of the gang. I mean,
she is one of the gang. She is one of the people throwing tampons at Carrie in the shower.
Well, there's
horrific
also
scene.
Well, she is, and there's also a parallel scene between the two of them where she's getting Tommy to be part of this her plan, and she says, "Would you do me a favor? It's really important." There's also a scene of Chris asking Travolta, "Hey, will you do me a favor? It's really important." And so I thought they were all
there's
together.
a parallel.
So she's fine. She'll do better things later, but she's fine.
Yeah. How about John Travolta himself?
Worst performance by John Travolta ever.
Really?
Yeah,
You
I thought he was
think so?
absolutely awful. Some of my notes are, did they rehearse any of these scenes? Because it really felt like he didn't remember his lines, and he kept going from, yeah, smack, I told you to never call me that. yeah. Like, there's just no consistency in his performance at all.
The character in the book is much more complicated, is much weirder and more complicated. And no, it's true. I think he's the weak link.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, in case anybody wants to write in, Carrie was in fact Stephen King's first novel. So there.
Okay.
We do know. And I'm not surprised to find out that the characters are more complex in the book. I mean, I don't know how big I think it's one of his shorter books. It's not that long.
It's not long at all, and it's written very oddly. It's written in a series of like letters and news reports and other such. It's almost, parts of it are almost epistolary.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
William Katt.
Then we got, Now, I got to say, I think he's fine as Tommy for the most part, because he just looks like, hello, I'm dumb and good looking, and I've just been coasting on, I'm assuming he's an athlete.
Yeah. Well, we see him running,
he just has
he at least runs.
Yeah. I am the privileged white boy, and it's not that he's a bad person. He's just never questioned the roles in high school. He's never thought about Carrie. He's actually quite sweet to her.
Eventually, but all through the prom, I'm like, wow, you are either the biggest dupe, either you don't know what's going on, or you're like a really nice guy who's going to get screwed over for no good reason. And it turns out,
and I think it was that,
yeah, he's fine. Ralph Handley, or from Greatest American Hero, his biggest role.
Believe it or not, he's walking on air.
I believe it. Nancy Allen, I did not recognize her at all.
It took me a while. I was like, I know that face. I know her. I cannot think from where. I had to look it up.
Yeah. I will admit.
She is so loathsome.
She totally is. Totally believable in her loathsomeness.
Yep. Absolutely convincing. Betty Buckley, I think, does a nice job as Miss Collins.
Except, as you pointed out, there is no way she would have lasted 5 minutes at that school, never mind this film.
She's hitting the students, for God's sake.
Well, she even hits Carrie. It's like,
yes,
calm down. Like, that always works.
Yes, it's like that scene in Airplane.
Yeah.
Yes, calm down. Whap, whap, whap.
She's the teacher. You're always looking for the teacher that understands and is being nice, and so I'll give her that. She's fine. Yeah. She's not there that much. She's just there to hit.
But it's to me, she was interesting because, as she says, I sometimes just want to grab Carrie and shake her. She doesn't really know how to help her.
No, but she wants to.
To go from zero to going to the prom, that's an enormous amount of pressure. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
PJ Souls, she's fine. She has 3 lines, but she's perfectly despicable.
Yeah, and she's annoying, and she's going out with that dunderhead.
Yep. And, the rest.
Yeah, everyone else just sort of bit parts. It's fine. They're fine. Nobody stands out as bad or good from the crowd.
Nope.
So.
Travolta's the worst, but Spacek and Piper Laurie they shine.
Yeah.
They really do. I don't think this movie would have worked. Not Shining. That's someone else. That's Olive Oil.
So we start off with one of the most evil activities in high school, and that is volleyball. I got to say.
Oh, God. My first line is, high school girls, notoriously kind and accepting.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But then we go to the opening credits, and of course we have to have the shower scene. So we get full frontal within the first 2 minutes.
It's a 70s horror movie. What were you expecting?
Okay. So it felt more like a male fantasy than it felt like what likely ever actually happened in a locker room.
Oh, yeah, no, I keep waiting for them to have a pillow fight in there.
Oh, my God. And it's just... It's gross. Honestly, I felt really, really unclean. I looked it up because I couldn't take it. It's like, please tell me Sissy Spacek is not underage. Please tell me and she wasn't. She was like 25. No. And I got to say,
none of these girls are underage. They're all in their 20s.
Well, and I got to say though, they pull it off because usually it's like, oh, you've been kept back for about 10 years, haven't you? And I was willing to believe they were all close to 18. Which, is the idea. I think that all the characters look that way. But dear gods, do we need this? Really? If this was obviously... Yeah. It's like, is this going to be a softcore porn or a full porno? Because that's what it felt like.
We'll get back to that because I want to talk about the way women are in this movie.
Okay.
We get... that's also our first indication of paranormal activity when she's freaking out and a bulb blows out.
And we hear that noise. I got to say... Using the psycho noise, what an incredibly bad idea.
Why?
Why are you constantly bringing another film into this film?
That is kind of a problem.
Took me out of it. And he uses it over and over again. It's just like, no. I'd almost rather he use the Wilhelm scream. Seriously. I just thought it was just a weird and unnecessary choice.
Yeah, I think that was a bit much. It also, as I say, it was unnecessary. They could have done the same. The music in this is very strange. Sometimes it's very subtle. Most of the time, it really isn't.
Well, and it doesn't work.
Oh, she's going upstairs. Ominous music, ominous music, ominous music.
Well, the girls' detention scene, the song they're playing has nothing to do with what's going on. Whenever it's a kind of song as opposed to just sort of subtle music, it's just like really inappropriate. It's like the music is at odds with what's going on screen. It stuck out to me like 3 or 4 times. Like, huh? Why are you playing that? I don't get it, but
We also get to see it's not just the other girls who are jerks. A number of the teachers are. That guy, Mr. Fromm, the poetry teacher, who makes fun of Carrie because she admires Tommy's poem that he plagiarized.
Yeah, I'm amazed Mr. Fromm has any ground to stand on when it comes to making fun of anyone because Mr. Fromm, I don't think is entirely straight. And 70s high school is somewhere you do not want to be gay.
No.
But.
And the principal, Mr. Morton, who's the subject of the sentence and what the predicate says he does, he's not evil. He's just, he's so infuriating. Again, it gets the idea across so well because he never gets Carrie's name right. He keeps calling her Cassie, even though he's corrected like 4 times. It just doesn't stay with him.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. It got to a point where I'm like, you literally just heard it. You must be doing this because you're a dink. So I don't know. He's barely there, but he's one of the people who dies that I didn't really mind that died. Because these are people who died. I will also say, I can understand Carrie's feelings. I think I hate that high school and everybody in it too.
Yeah, that it's, again, very believable, but it looks like an absolutely awful place, as most high schools are, or can be.
We can't talk. We went to art camp. But I think that they actually take it in a way a little too far. It felt at times like a caricature of a high school, like literally only the bad stuff and literally only the most surface of details. But that's actually pretty common throughout the film. We don't really know much about anybody except Carrie, and even then, we don't know that much. So
we get a lot of surface. She's starting to explore, wondering how is she doing things? How is she moving things with her mind? Her mother says it's the devil. At first, she thinks maybe it's a miracle, maybe it's God, and then she starts looking up stuff about psychokinesis.
Yeah, luckily there's a book on what she has in the library.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Right in the library. It's like examples of teenage psychokinesis in young women.
She even says that to her mother when she's talking to her about it. It's like, it's not the devil, Mom. A lot of people have it. They do? Since when? No, so I got it. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But yeah, it's... And here's the thing, like Stephen King or not like Stephen King, one of the things he's usually pretty good at is characters. He may reuse some of them, shall we say.
What?
And to be fair, I've only read 4 of his 5 books. I keep forgetting I read The Dark Tower, which is the only book of his that I've read that has nothing to do with any of his other books. But I usually find myself drawn into the characters and at least understanding the characters. And it's kind of a shame that we don't really get that much here. It is very surface level, which...
That is true.
to be fair, most horror films don't do a lot of character portraits.
Not a lot of them. They really aren't character movies for the most part. Some are.
No.
Some can get into it. In some ways, you could argue Psycho does. Gets very much into the mind of Norman Bates. But
well, and related to this, I want to say that pretty much everything in this film feels uncomfortable. I think De Palma is really good at making you understand why everything at this time of your life and in high school, and this particular high school, would feel uncomfortable. And I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I thought that came across really well.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is. Her home seems uncomfortable. The school is uncomfortable. Everything is uncomfortable. There's one scene that strikes me as very out of place. And that's when Tommy and his friends are going out tux shopping. And suddenly
you too.
We're following them, and it's like comic relief, but there's nothing quite to relieve. I don't know what it is, except, my God, those 70s tuxes with the ruffled shirts.
Yeah.
That all the boys seem to think were cool. They weren't.
How would you know? You never wore one.
I wore a tux. I never wore a ruffled shirt.
We didn't have a prom.
We had a senior dinner dance.
We had a Dead President's Day dance. That's what we have. So it wasn't even a dance. It was just, you can come back to school if you want to. They also do something in that scene that I'm just like, why? What is Benny Hill coming on? They speed up the voices.
Yeah. For some reason, there's like a couple of points in the movie where suddenly they speed up the motion, they speed up the film for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's really jarring.
Yeah.
Maybe it's supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to keep us off balance, but it's very strange, and it really stands out. It's there and at the prom, I think.
I don't even remember a second one. I just remember in the tux rental thing, and it's like, hey, why are we bothering? Because this scene literally does nothing for the plot. Oh, we find out the boys got suits. Okay, well, it's a prom. I'm not really surprised.
All I figured is, okay, look, this means Tommy, actually might be a person. He has friends. He's not awful to them.
He has $10.
He has $10 to rent a tux. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've only been measured for a tux once, and boy, was that uncomfortable. Because one of the guys who gave me a hard time.
Let me check your inseam.
Well, yeah, and it was one of the guys who gave me a hard time in junior high who was working there.
Oh, geez.
So suddenly a guy that I didn't like, that he had to be professional but could still like sort of sneer at me, stuck his thumb up my crotch. So, well, there you go. Yeah, that was fun. I still remember his name, you jerk. I think that weird thing is indicative of some really clumsy editing. There are some scenes that just feel like snip. Oh, now we're here now. Okay. I don't think the film really it was enough for me to notice and make a note about. I thought that it felt kind of, there's actually a lot about this film that I thought was kind of amateurish. Travolta, and just other scenes too, where it felt like, well, you guys just improvise your characters and we'll film it. And sometimes that can work really well. And then there's this, which it kind of really doesn't. I don't know.
Well, I thought it worked. My other question is, how does Carrie know how to apply makeup? You see her go to a store, put on lipstick. She's remarkably good at it. But when has she ever done it? Obviously, her mother would, set her on fire if she brought it into the house.
Yeah. Well, and she says something about that.
Yeah. I do like when she's actually telling her mother she wants to go to prom. And her mother says, prom, and there's a thunderclap. It's like, okay, that's great.
I actually missed it, and I was wearing headphones.
Prom!
By prom. By prom. Great prom. I know, that's crom.
And to hell with you. All the scenes, I think, between Carrie and her mother are just amazing. It's the best part of the movie. It's so heartbreaking. She so desperately wants her mother's love, her mother's approval. And you're sitting there going, it's not going to happen. She hates you. She hates herself. She hates everyone.
Well, and there's also there's this weird scene where she's been allowed out of the Harry Potter closet and she's gone up to her room and she's looking in the mirror and she's pissed off and she causes the mirror to break. And then her mother hears the noise and comes upstairs. And the mirror's more or less back together. It's like...
she's patched it telekinetically.
I guess. I mean, I couldn't figure...
I think that's it.
It was still
that
cracked.
Surprised me because it's still cracked, but somehow with her mind, she put the pieces back together. Like, That's a lot more fine control than you've demonstrated.
Well,
but she gets better. We can see as she goes along.
Well, and here's something, too, that I wasn't sure if it was meant to be implied. I don't know if this is in the book or not. But it seems to me that the first time she shows evidence of this psychokinetic ability that many people have is when she has her period.
Mm-hmm.
So is it suggesting that she's developed this because she's going through puberty, adolescence, very late for reasons?
I think so.
That
absolutely.
So
people have argued that the whole thing is a metaphor for going through puberty and becoming an adult. Suddenly having part of yourself that you're worried about is incredibly destructive and you're afraid you can't control.
Well, and then she also learns how to use that awful quick, too, unless we're supposed to guess that one of the books she took out from the library is, in fact, a manual on how to use it because so many people have that.
Well, they have in the book the idea is the power sort of takes her over. It almost because it's like another part of her consciousness.
Well, and all right, let's get to this, too, because this is something I was confused about. Mm-hmm. So there's a very heavy leaning away from a specific interpretation of Christianity in this film, that really overzealous, over reading that every word means exactly what the word says, as opposed to being any kind of metaphor, that, evangelistic, blah, 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 blah. There's a very anti-that to this film. Are we suggesting at the end, especially because of the dream that Sue has, that this is a supernatural, religious-based power?
We don't know. It's the same way it is with most Stephen King psychic stuff. It seems to be paranormal in that it is a psychic effect, but it's not necessarily infernal or holy. It just is.
Yeah.
He never tries to explain where they come from.
No.
Which is fine.
No. Usually it's literally, one day I can do this. Like, Christine's a perfect example of that. Oh, I'm going to buy a car. By the way, it's haunted. How? Doesn't matter. It's haunted and takes over your best friend, Artie. Bye.
Yep.
Which is, sometimes I'm fine with that, because sometimes when they try to explain it gets really dumb. Well, you see, midichlorians. Okay.
Don't say the M word.
Or magichlorians if you're looking at Harry Potter.
Yeah. I do want to bring out a particular pet peeve of mine at one point, and to me this shows just how much Mrs. White does not understand the Bible. She quotes that thing everybody friggin' quotes, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." That is a mistranslation. The Hebrew word that is used in that passage is mekhashafa, and while it can mean sorceress, it more commonly meant poisoner.
Oh.
Which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Or one who uses strange methods to kill.
I think
not just using magic. It's hurting people.
I think the operative word there is kill.
Yeah.
And that just goes back to what I said about people not interpreting, but just reading everything as if it's what it says right there. That's what it means. Because if you start doing that, things don't make sense. But we'll not go there.
What do you think of that scene in the prom scene? That is the one that is parodied, written about, shown out of context everywhere.
Well, let's take a step back. What do you think about this trick that Chris wants to play on her?
It's remarkably badly thought out.
Well,
I mean, it's reliant on her standing exactly below the bucket because there isn't that much in it. And it'd be really easy to miss.
Yeah.
And I am willing to bet neither of those Mensa candidates could set up an accurate pulley system so that pulling the rope would actually tip it. And nobody noticed. Nobody who was putting up decorations or wandering around, they're checking the place out. Nobody noticed a bucket attached to a rope hanging there.
There's a streamer around it, so I can see why people might not notice it. I'm just like, where did you suddenly say, you know what's going to really get Carrie? Dumping a pig's blood on her. What?
Well, because of her bleeding in the shower from her first period. That was traumatic for her, so they want to get blood all over her again. But no, that made sense to me.
It didn't to me, because it's like, why does it actually have to be blood? Why not just get high C? Like, it's much more readily available. It's red. It'll do the same job.
It's way more horrific.
I guess.
Way more horrific. But still,
it's like a good thing there was a pig farm.
You're actually going to murder a pig. I was like, maybe they're going to go... When I first saw it, I was like, okay, sometimes, at the slaughterhouse, they keep the blood. They use it for making sausage or what have you. Oh, no, they're actually going to find a pig, this is an expensive piece of livestock. Murder it and bleed it. How do they know how to... That's hard to do.
Well, that's why I thought this is a really complex, unnecessarily complicated, quote-unquote, trick to pull on her. And to be fair, we're not actually sure how many people, if anybody, laughs, because we get two views of this. We get the view that we see where no one's laughing. They're just all like, wow, this isn't funny at all. And it's just Travolta and Nancy Allen laughing, and then we get
Norma's laughing.
And then we get Carrie's view where everyone's laughing, and we know for a fact that Miss Collins wouldn't have been. So we're not even sure how effective it was as a quote-unquote joke. I think most people who weren't in on the whole "we hate Carrie" thing would have sat there and go, "What the hell is going? Why did somebody do that?"
I thought they would have just been horrified, not think it was funny. They would have just honestly, I think it would have made Carrie a martyr, and Chris and Billy would have been pariahs.
Well, and it certainly.
Although I'm not sure Chris went. I don't know if Billy actually went to high school. I'm not sure he ever made it out of grade school.
Yeah, it's like, do you actually go to school, or you already have a job for about 10 years? Because I don't know how old Travolta was, but him and this buddy, the dumb one, who's like, I'm on the decorating committee now, that jerk. It's like, you have been kept back a few years. So, the joke itself made no sense to me. It didn't seem like something kids would just come up with out of nowhere. That being said, when Carrie gets crazy, that's really chilling. Her facial expressions, her detachment from humanity is so well depicted by Sissy Spacek. I'm just like, ugh. And then the doors all close and it catches fire, and it's like, okay. And I was like, wait, did Chris get away? Oh, damn, no, Chris didn't get away. She and Billy got what was coming to them. I think it was basically a fantasy that many picked on kids have had about their high school.
Oh, sure.
And that's probably, I could totally believe the whole thing was just a fever dream. But then we get to the ending where suddenly the house is collapsing. Ugh. And the weird part about it to me was there's no indication from Carrie that she's doing it. The noise doesn't happen.
Yeah, but we figure, no.
She's not rolling her eyes up in their head like Charlie X. And then she's trying to quote unquote save herself and her mom in the corner, but she's not leaving. So I couldn't tell, was this trying to say that this power was coming from somewhere else? I don't know. I was confused.
I think she lost control of it, and she had just been stabbed in the kidney. So,
although it didn't seem to slow her down all that much. Now, if it had been a potato peeler, that's a whole different story.
I have to say the shot that always I found so creepy is when Mama's chasing her with the knife and she stops and makes the sign of the cross over her with the butcher knife. Yeah. Like, with that beatific smile. Yeah. Like, yikes!
You know what else causes a beatific smile is when we get to the end of the show, because I hate to say it, but we're literally out of time.
Okay.
The finish.
So, Mike, you'd never seen this.
I think the sound went out. Max, are you there?
Uh-oh.
So, Max!
Nice try. I already said it.
Hey, remember who's editing this show?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Well, now you've ruined it.
That was the point. Go ahead.
So, Mike, you'd never seen this. This was your first time.
No.
What'd you think?
I honestly don't think it's very good. I don't think it's particularly well for a De Palma film. As I said, there's scenes that feel like they weren't rehearsed. They weren't acted very well. There's a bunch of people who are decent. They're fine. And then, as you pointed out, there's Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie who really run away with it as far as acting goes. They're both just so over the top of everybody else that it kind of... Yeah, everyone else seems kind of two-dimensional because we don't know anything about them. The editing feels a little clunky in places, especially the addition of the sped-up dialogue in the middle of the tuxedo scene, which doesn't even need to be there. It's honestly not that scary. The scariest part is the end where Mama shows up and starts going after Carrie. At that point, she becomes scarier than Carrie was.
Really? What about the last shot? Did that startle you?
The jump scare, that's the only thing that actually... that's the only thing that actually made me go, whoa, because I did not expect it. But I'm also it felt like, are we going to have a Nightmare on Elm Street ending here? Is this just a dream? What's going on? Oh, it is. It's her going crazy. I guess it made implications that I don't think the film meant to make, and that is, it's not that she's haunted by this, but it was a satanic power, and now it's reaching out for Sue. So I don't know. I thought it was confusing.
think she's just traumatized, but I think that last part is, the first one I saw it freaked me the hell out.
Yeah.
And I think it's just talking about her trauma, because her mother's talking to someone saying, oh, the doctor says she's young, she'll get over it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, I don't think she's going to. I think the dream is a result of the trauma. I do want to tell a little story about that. I heard Stephen King interviewed once, and he talked about going to see the movie for the first time. It was right when it was released. He had no idea how people were going to react, and he snuck in and sat in the back of a theater. And sitting right in front of him were these two huge, menacing, big-shouldered black guys. And the whole movie, they just sat there with their arms folded, no reaction. And he said he couldn't concentrate on the rest of the theater. They were all like going, oh, ah. But these guys, nothing. And he was like, oh, God, this is a bomb. This isn't going to work. And then that final shot where the hand comes up out of the grave, in effect, and grabs Amy Irving, and she starts screaming. One of the guys jumps to his feet and starts shrieking, oh, she ain't never going to be right now. She ain't never going to be right, over and over. And the guy next to him is burying his face in his hands. And King's like, oh, it's going to work. I just love that.
Well, what did you think of the film? What did you think when you saw it sometime in the 80s? You were in your 20s.
The first time, I was actually really impressed, because I had seen an awful lot of really bad Stephen King movies by then. And I didn't know how this would be. I saw the movie before I read the book. I liked the book better. I'm sorry. I think it's just more fleshed out. Yeah. But the movie moves along better.
It does move along. I will give it that.
I think for what it is, which is a 70s horror slasher movie, in effect, it's very good. But it's purely that way because of Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie. They're what make it stand out. I recommend it just because this movie it's very influential. There have been, never mind all the remakes of this, sequels, but you see this everywhere. You see tributes to it. You see parodies of it.
Yeah.
I think it's significant.
I guess
I don't think it's all. I don't really enjoy it that much because it's not the sort of movie I enjoy, but I love watching those two performances.
I mean, I do love me some, especially 80s. The 80s was a great time for bad horror films, and there's some that are just like Sleepover Camp. If you've never seen Sleepover Camp, watch Sleepover Camp, because Sleepover Camp not only has a surprise at the end, it is just really funny and dopey and badly made, as so many of them were.
It is the epitome. It really is kind of the epitome of the 80s slasher movies. And it's not, I'm sorry, Halloween is scary. And some of the Friday the 13th, the early ones, those can be scary. Yeah. Sleepover Camp is not scary.
No, it is not. Most of it takes place during
disturbing,
the day.
But it's not scary.
Yeah, I don't think I can recommend this film. I think it suffers from being a part of its time. And I don't honestly think, we saw Blowout, and I liked Blowout better than I liked this. And I certainly like The Untouchables better than I like this. It doesn't feel particularly well made to me. And I think there's areas where it's really just made me scratch my head. Nothing's done in depth. The only character we really know anything about is Carrie, which is, I'm glad we know something about her, but otherwise we don't really know anything about anybody. So watching them die is like, well, I guess a lot of you were jerks. I'm going to have to guess the whole class was a jerk because this school stinks, but I don't really care. And I think if you're going to have a horror film, one of the things is that people or whatever's being threatened, you kind of have to care about them, because otherwise the death doesn't mean much. And that's where I am with this. So I'll say that prom scene is very, very iconic. I will give you that. I just still don't understand the thought process with that quote unquote joke. It didn't make any sense to me. But what does make sense to me is our poll question.
Yes, it does. I want to know, what is your favorite, if you have one, Stephen King adaptation and why? And you can answer this question so many ways. So many. You can go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, and leave a comment. You can email us directly at us@maxmikemovies.com. Give us ideas for series. Tell us what you think about the show in general. Send us your social security number and credit card information. Whatever.
No.
Yep, totally. You can find us on the booking face
Facebook
under Max Mike Movies.
Facebook.
We're also on Blue Sky, same name, Max Mike Movies, and Mastodon, where we appear to be largely alone. under Max Mike Movies. And of course, you can call our hotline.
It's so hot.
You can call the Max Mike Movies phone at 617-398-7266. That number again, Mike?
617-398-7266, formerly 333-film, but we had to change it because apparently that was taken.
Copycats.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we're closing in on the end of this series. But what movie that I haven't seen are you going to make me see next week, Mike?
Well, this one is not an older film. This is actually a very recent film that I saw and suggested you see, and suggested you see again. And then I suggested one more time you go see it, and you didn't. And you admit yourself, it's like, oh, I keep meaning to watch this, but I haven't. But I wanted to throw in a more recent film into this series, one that other younger listeners might have heard. And that is the new version, yet another version of the Dracula story. Or is it? Called Nosferatu, done by Robert Eggers, a man that we last saw on our show here on the Lighthouse episode. A film that we both thought was incredibly stark, incredibly uncomfortable, and incredibly well made. Is Nosferatu the same kind of film? Well, Max doesn't know, but I do.
I don't.
So,
nope, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm not going to watch it. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Just because you want me to. No, I'm not.
I have two words for you. Freddy got fingered. You're going to watch...
3 words. That's 3 words.
It's not worth 3 words. You're going to watch Nosferatu, and hopefully you will also watch Nosferatu 2. Nosferatu 2.
The Reverend Nosferatu Desmond Tutu?
No. But join us next week for Nosferatu 2.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.